been have you been listening or watching Levitard lately?
More recently, yeah. Now it's on YouTube. It's a little more accessible.
Yeah, so there's like parts in their episodes because they like record all the time, and like especially in like the local hour or the Big Suey, which is only, or no, the local hour is only on podcasts. It's not on their YouTube channel. Like in the middle of their show, it'll just be like, this meeting is being recorded from the Zoom. And they're just like, what the fuck? And they're just like so like blown away, and they just like make jokes about it. So recently when we record, it just makes me laugh. Like when I hear that, because I'm just like, it's such a random throw off. It's such a random thing that Zoom added into their platform last month.
I wonder if there was like legal reasons why they've done it in the last year. Like you wouldn't be shocked if like lawsuits were going down and they were probably getting involved because of it. And they're just like covering their ass.
Or like people were having like Zoom sex, and like their significant other didn't know it was being Zoomed, and then they sue them, and they're just like, what the fuck? I didn't know it. So now it's like a warning sign for those people.
Or they're pulling a Jeffrey Toobin.
Who's Jeffrey Toobin?
Oh God. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Long story short, music guy got caught jerking off on Zoom.
Oh, the guy from CNN. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
They recently got him back, and it was a super awkward conversation. Welcome to Town Tailgate Podcast. That's gonna be the opening of our show, Julio. Surprise.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
I'm Chris Magical. That's Julio Reynoso.
What up, folks?
We are a part of the Around the Diamond Podcast Network. If you're wondering why Julio's audio sounds bad if you're watching us on YouTube, it's because his whole laptop situation is just a joke at this point, and he's got to do the Zoom feed through his phone. So he's got his phone on one side, and he's got his laptop on the other side. It's quite the setup.
You know, I was just thinking right now, I'm like, yeah, this sucks. But like, because I'm on Zoom, I feel like, or using my phone, I feel like it can get the YouTube viewers some stuff they've never seen before. It's a lot more mobile. So I'm going to do that real quick.
Yeah,
here's
that.
What the
you know what? That's a good point. Yeah, do that.
Here's the other side of the wall. Look at that. I got that from opening day of 2018.
Let's see what your work setup. Oh, hold on. That cat painting's pretty nice.
It's pretty fantastic, right? Yeah. Here's my work setup.
Nice.
Little dusky here. But here's one of my favorite things.
Hold on. Is that a little like platform for your phone to sit on? Is that what that was right there? That in the middle?
You recognize that?
Oh, Zelda. Nice.
Yeah. It's for the Switch.
You just put it up in the video, and it's a little like it's a Switch like stand, so you can put your monitor there while you're playing video games, and it's for Zelda. I'm narrating play by play.
Yeah. And right here is actually I think, Chris, I give you one too, right? Did I?
What?
So there's a newspaper right here. Yes.
No.
For those of you who are not on YouTube, I went to Japan 2019, and I watched the A's. I think I've brought this up before in the pod, but that was also the same series as Ichiro's last game in Japan.
That's right.
So I went to like every newsstand and bought as many newspapers as I could of it. So I got one framed.
That's dope, dude. I fuck with that.
One of my favorite players ever. Favorite non-A's ever.
So that's his office.
And there's more stuff behind me, but I don't want to get away from the mic. I can show off the tops.
We've already seen a lot of that stuff, though.
The Topps 90 collection?
We don't see it in depth, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I will say, I feel like I'm hitting a wall with those cards.
Yeah, I stopped buying them after I got the Randy Johnson one.
Oh, that one's badass. Yeah.
That was the last one I bought. There's been some cool ones since then. This one's from Alex Party. There's been some cool ones since then.
Antioch native.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he graduated with me. Like he's homies with my oldest brother, Elias. He graduated high school with them and hung out with them growing up.
That's what's up. Hell yeah. One of the artists is a UFC ring girl, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, the problem
the problem is like the A's ones, they're picking the same players over and over, and that's my thing. I've been sticking to just A's players.
They've done so many Ricky ones, dude. They've done so many.
It's been like Ricky, Jose, Raleigh Fingers,
and Mark McGuire.
Yeah, there's been a couple Mark McGuire. There's 2 Vita Blues. I'm like, I just want a player that's been around during my lifetime. We got the Coco one, which was badass. That's like my favorite card. But like, come on. So Chris took a week off. What's new, man? How's life been? What did you do these couple weeks off?
I went to Tampa for work. I went to Houston for work. Oh no, we did a pod from Houston. So yeah, I don't know.
Two places I do not want to be during the month of June.
No, they were hella humid, which sucked. And then so when I was in Tampa, it was 95 during the day, and then towards the evening it started raining, and a monsoon came through Tampa, and it like grounded all the flights that were flying around like between like 3 to 6 o'clock. My boss's flight got delayed. Luckily, I was flying at 8 o'clock, so the monsoon had moved by, so I didn't have to deal with that. I just flew home. It was pretty great.
That's awful.
It was awful. What'd you do?
What did I do these last couple weeks?
Went to Disneyland.
Right. No, I went to Universal Studios.
Went to Universal Studios.
Yeah. My brother was in town. Shout out to Mondo, sister-in-law Steph, and then the two younger boys. So haven't seen them in a while. So they wanted to go to Universal. They went to Universal Studios. Like, screw it, I'll take the day off and go.
Nice.
Went to an LAFC game for the first time. Black and gold. It was
for the first time ever, or for the first time since?
For the first time post vaccine, crowds back.
Like, I miss LAFC games. They're so much fucking fun.
They're awesome. They're like arguably one of the most like fun sporting events you can go to.
I'm definitely not an MLS fan, but when I do watch, obviously I'm a Quakes fan, but like LAFC's kind of taken that spot in my MLS, like who I root for heart, because I went to a game and I just had so much fun that it was like, damn, I like this team. This team's like dope. Like I kind of want to like somewhat follow a little bit, but the Sacramento Republic are joining MLS in 2 years. I went to many of those games back in the summer of 2014 when my buddy Sean had season tickets, and once they're coming to MLS, that's gonna be my team for sure.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But until then, let's see. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, let's jump into the news, Julio. Let's jump into the news.
Yeah. So quick. Just what's going on this episode? Obviously, some stuff are the big three. Trevor Bauer got himself in trouble because it's Trevor Bauer. Got some A's news. Tyler Soderstrom has been on absolute fire, and he got some huge recognition. And then for the first time, we're doing a mailbag. So for all of you who submitted questions, thank you so much. But let's get stuff started with the big three. Trevor Bauer, this last year, he's been more or less the talk of baseball for good and bad. There's recently there was an article that came out where Trevor Bauer is facing.
Don't you dare associate him with those allegations, Julio.
He's facing sexual assault allegations.
Tyler Soderstrom is what I was talking about, by the way.
Yes, sexual assault allegations, and I don't want to get into details on what exactly happened because it's pretty graphic and pretty rough. But
it's borderline. It's physical and sexual harassment or assault.
Yeah. If you subscribe to Athletic, it gives you a breakdown, but just kind of give like a quick summary of what's going on. He was more or less this woman and him met through a dating app, and she drove up, and he was like very forceful with her with sex, to the point that was like it was consensual, but like physically abusive with her during sex, to the point where she was not
going to go into the details.
No, saying the details of how this happened is a whole different story.
Yeah.
But he was more or less physically abusing her during it was consensual, but to the point where like she was getting knocked unconscious and wasn't anymore.
Details, but that's fine.
Yeah. So his lawyer came out with a statement saying that Mr. Bauer had a brief and wholly consensual relationship initiated by the woman. We have messages that show the woman repeatedly asked for rough sexual encounters involving a request to be choked out and slapped in the face. Both encounters, the woman drove from San Diego to Mr. Bauer's residence in Pasadena, where she went on to dictate what she wanted from him sexually and what he did. And he did what was asked. Jesus Christ. I don't know where to start.
We really said that we weren't going to go into details, and we really went into some deep details.
No, if you read did you read the article?
I don't want to. We don't have to argue about this.
Yeah,
I just thought it was funny that we
I'm
went
just
into
skimming on what the ESPN article
That's
said.
fine. That's fine.
But what
I curse all the
actually
time
went
on this
down-
podcast. It's not necessarily a kid-friendly podcast, but
No, yeah. What happened actually is like, yeah, we're not going to talk about this. Well, please do your research into it. But it's like, I'm just going to say this. Fuck this guy even more.
Look, man, I don't know who's in today's world, I don't know who's telling the truth, but this is in today's world where you're fucking, I don't know. I mean, it's just his lawyers got some balls. Let me start with that. Like, he's very aggressively,
absolutely.
like, not even saying necessarily that like these rumors aren't true. We're gonna go through the process. We hope that this will prove his innocency. He just went fucking hard, like in just details, and like kind of like attacked her a little bit. Where it's just a very aggressive move, a lot more aggressive than, like, for example, the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Like, the lawyer suing him in those cases is I don't remember reading anything like that. I think my biggest like issue with this is obvious. I mean, okay, that was poorly worded, because my biggest issue with this is that it's sexual assault, obviously. But my second biggest issue with this is, like, this is a guy who has been polarizing in the media the past year and a half, something like that. Him and his agent have been very polarizing in the media because of they're very aggressive towards, changing certain narratives about, I guess, professional sports in general. I don't want to say specifically baseball, to the point where they've kind of bullied people online for it. And they've really pushed for like change, and they've really pushed for, a lot of it being, female like equality. So to get this story from this particular person is just kind of like, I'm literally at a loss for words. I couldn't think of words to start what I wanted to say. Julio, like, it's just fucking, it doesn't surprise me, but it's surprising.
It's that Apple, if this is true, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in terms of like his history. He's had history on Twitter where he's like cyberbullied women. He has history on Twitter where he's made comments that are, even when he was already a professional player, he was already verified on Twitter, that were super inappropriate.
Yeah.
And it just sucks even more because it's like, you can say what you want about his agent, Rachel Luba. She's very in the spotlight with who she is, and deservedly so, because somebody that young, who's like in her 20s and is an agent for one of the biggest athletes in baseball. And like this comes out like that's, and also considering her other client is Yasiel Puig.
Yeah.
And who doesn't have a great history as well. It's just like, all this hard work just gone down the drain because you kind of put your resources to this one guy. And what's even worse, or all this is horrible. Like, this is all the horrible, horrible thing. And I really hope all this is true, like, justice is served for him. We talked about this offline, but like, Dodger fans don't fuck around with people like this. I've talked to like multiple fans and like fan groups and stuff like that. And everyone's just like, we were all very cautious about bringing him in the first place because of how extreme of a person he is, the allegations of him cheating with the sticky stuff. And now it's especially when you see where a lot of these other guys in the team are, when you see the stuff like Kershaw's in the community, that stuff that even Mookie's only been there for a couple of years, paying for people's groceries throughout the county. And then you see stuff like this, like that doesn't mesh with it. That doesn't mesh with what that team is. and the fans know that. So I looked it up. They're not going to be back in town until after the All-Star break, or at least when he's lined up to pitch again.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what's going to happen the first time he pitches back in Dodger Stadium, because it's going to be extremely polarizing when he's back there.
I'll say to you what I said to you offline. Like, that's all fun and dandy, but name me a sports fan base that has turned on one of their best players in history of sports for personal stuff. I cannot think of a one. If you're winning games for my franchise, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be a fan of yours regardless of what dirtbag bullshit you've pulled.
No, but there's a difference though. Because
no, there's
I
not
thought
a
about
difference.
this.
No, there isn't.
Hold on. Give me a second. There's a big difference, because I thought about this earlier today, and I didn't really want to talk about it, but I thought about, in the mid 2000s with all the Kobe stuff was going on, and with his allegations were coming out. I think, look, yeah, people at that time, one, turned a blind eye to it, because one, I think times are very different in the last 16 years since that's happened. And two, Kobe already had 3 titles. Trevor Bauer has been on this team for 4 months. And a lot of people were already kind of on the fence when this guy got brought in the first place. Beat writers, especially like Molly Knight from The Athletic, who's like been very hard on them since day one, because like this guy has treated people poorly online, and we're bringing him in here, kind of thing. And it's like, it reminds me a little bit of not to bring in the Warriors, but it's like what like Draymond told KD. He's like, hey, we were a title team before you got here. We're going to be a title team after you leave. And it's the same thing with the Dodgers. It's like, look, dude, we won a title last year, been to 3 in the last 4 years before you're here. Even if something were to happen where they're going to get rid of him, like, we're still going to be fine. We're going to be Gucci. But it's like, he hasn't done shit yet to get that, like, oh, we're going to brush over because he wants, because he hasn't done anything for the Dodgers yet.
You stole part of that from me. I said that to you earlier, but yes, I agree. We'll see how it all goes down. Maybe I'm not giving Dodger fans enough credit, but the history of sports fandom, with all of the numerous cases that this has been around, has yet to prove me wrong. So I would love for the Dodgers to be the first ones, but like, let's be realistic about this. And extremely unfortunate, because all that does is make this behavior acceptable, and it's not acceptable, and I will not put up with it. I'm telling you right now, I will be if this were to happen to one of my, I'm not going to say a name because I don't want any evidence of this being linked to him in the history of anything in public. But if a star of my team were to do this, I would think that I would be very much, what we're talking about, what we hope the Dodger fans would be. But yeah, that's the problem. It's one of the many problems with sports, is that we make this acceptable. I think the only person who's really suffered from it probably is Ray Rice. Maybe Greg Hardy, but he's fucking fighting UFC, so he's making some money back.
And then let's see what happens with Deshaun Watson and all this.
Yeah, training camp's a month away, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm gonna Chris,
little...
sorry, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. I'm gonna skip this segment, and we're gonna do a different segment on the fly, and you're gonna be totally okay with it. Let me give me a second. Okay. We originally were gonna talk about Hector Santiago. He's a Mariners pitcher. He's the first player to get busted for foreign substance. He got a 10-game suspension, yada, yada, yada. But Chris, I'm going to give you your spotlight. If I had a horn, I'd be blowing it right now. Your Mississippi State Bulldogs just won the College World Series baseball, baby. You called it.
I called that on this podcast. Just want everybody to know that. I tweeted about it earlier today. I really like them. They have a lot of talent. They did it on both sides of the ball, and that was fun. It was fun watching that series too. Because Vandy blew him out the first game, and you kind of thought that this was over. And then yesterday they fucking won. That was a big win for them yesterday. They won by like 8 runs, I want to say. And then today it was just an absolute domination. I think Rocker started today, didn't he?
I was just looking at Kumar Rocker, who is like, he's going to be
he's a number 3 prospect in Keith Law's rankings right now.
Yeah. him and Jack Leiter have been like lighting it up all season long.
Both
and he struggled in the biggest moment. He struggled in the biggest moment. This is Mississippi State, not just their first baseball championship, but their first NCAA championship, period.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Any team sport, not oh, really? Any team sport, because I guess individual sports you don't have like championships.
In any sport. And we just got to give a quick shout out to current Oakland great Mitchie Two Bags. Mitch Moreland went to Mississippi State, defeating Tony Kemp's TK's Vanderbilt.
It's crazy because Mississippi State has a history of like really good baseball. Like they've been to the College World Series a shit ton of times, and they've had a lot of good players. Rafael Palmeiro and Will Clark were there at the same time, and their relationship was kind of polarizing because they didn't like each other, but they were like super successful there. There was like a E60 piece on it earlier this week.
That's super. I did not know that. That's super interesting. Yeah. Do you think they're doing roids together?
Yes.
It was the 80s. They're at least doing cocaine, allegedly, but like,
they're probably doing
throwing that out there. Yeah. All right. Last thing. Kyle Schwarber, future Oakland A, fingers crossed, went absolutely batshit crazy Super Saiyan in the month of June. And it did so much that we have to talk about it. He's hit 16 home runs in his last 18 games, and 7 of those were in the leadoff spot. We have not seen somebody go on that much of a tear. All right, here we go. 12 home runs over the last 10 games, matching Albert Bell in 1995 for the most home runs during that time span. He hit 16 home runs in 18 games, mentioned that already. The only other players to ever do that were Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa. So the assumption is Kyle Schwarber's on steroids. Chris, thoughts?
I didn't know that he was the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, you said that Dan Patrick you were listening to, right?
I haven't been paying. Yeah, I said listen to Dan Patrick, and they said that, and that kind of blew my mind. I guess analytics favor him as a leadoff hitter, so that's why. I could not tell you why. I'd have to look up his stats to really probably put the pieces together, but I assume that he walks a decent amount, although I thought he was a strikeout guy, but I assume that he gets on base a lot, so that's probably why, because he's not fast. That's pretty cool. So what would you think? So I have seen, obviously you hinted to it, I've seen some trade rumors connected us to him. Where would he play? Would he replace Mitch at DH, or would we put him in the outfield?
I'll be honest, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. But I'm curious.
So the national. Okay, so I think he'd have to be in the outfield. I don't think he's been a national leaguer his whole career. He's lost a lot of weight from when we think of Kyle Schwarber. We think of this kind of like a
chode.
Yes. Hold on. I got to see how tall he is to get that confirmation of it.
He's short and wide.
He's 6 foot, dude. 6 foot 229.
Oh, he was just always wide. I don't know. Anyways,
I think he's good enough to still be an outfielder. He could still be out there.
Yeah.
There was actually, I want to get into it once we get to the A's talk, but realistically, it's not going to happen. The Nationals have actually been turning around like somehow they do all the time in the last 10 games. They're 8-2. I don't know if you saw tonight, Trey Turner hit his 3rd career cycle. That
was pretty badass.
And it's just like this team is clicking together. They're only 2 games back from the Mets and this god awful National League East where it just seems like nobody wants to win it. The Mets are in first and they have a negative run differential. The Marlins are in last and they have the best run differential in their division.
Levitard was talking about that the other day, how the Mets and the Marlins have the best run differential in that division, but the Marlins are in last place. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Just some bad luck.
They were trying to see if he would go to the All-Star game for Home Run Derby, and it sounds like he's not going to do it. But I think that would be Oh, hold on. Try to pull up a link and play the video. But I think that would have been awesome seeing there. But yeah, we just got to shut it out, man. I think if he keeps us up, someone's gonna super overpay him for sure.
And he's got 28 home runs, I think. 28 home runs?
25.
25. And there was some stupid ESPN stat I saw yesterday on Instagram. It was like, that's the most for any player under this age for a person from this part of the I don't know. It was really weird. And like, it was interesting.
From Middleton, Ohio.
Yeah.
I just got to say before we move on just got to add him to the list to the players I wish you didn't drop for fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be joining Cedric Mullins. You're welcome.
You dropped him? You didn't trade him?
No, because this was like the beginning of June.
Yeah.
I just needed somebody to fill the spot. He was kind of just meh at that point. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
This is Kyle Schwarber. Nobody thought he would
I'm
go off
not
like
hating
this.
on you. I think that was a logical thought process.
Him, Elodis Garcia, Cedric Mullins. Who else? Those are the big three pretty much, where I'm like, great, good job, Julio. Proud of you.
All right,
and Gary Sanchez now, I guess.
Let's move on to today's news.
News.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's time.
We got some bullpen help finally. JB Wendelken is back. He pitched yesterday. He pitched really well yesterday. Gave up no runs. And it's just nice to see one of our back end bullpen guys healthy again. Like, especially like Petit's been a workhorse. He could use some help back there. Unfortunately, the rest of our bullpen is just kind of a utter fucking mess. That dude, what's his face that I bitched to you about, that I texted bitching to you about yesterday, that gave up 2 runs in the top of the 9th, when we were only down by 1 run and could have won it. I forgot his name, but he's
again there.
In order to make that roster spot, we had to get rid of one guy. So Cam Bedrosian has been designated for assignment. We'll probably hear back in a week on what his status will be, if he's coming back to the team to AAA or if he will be playing for someone else. I have not heard anything yet.
It sounds like,
but yeah,
some of the early reports is he is going to be down to AAA, which like he looks solid for the first handful of games he had in Oakland.
He was
but then like
ETT for a week.
Yeah, but I think over the last week the last couple weeks he kind of just started falling off a little bit.
Yeah. It's good to have you back, JB. So hopefully we can get some more help after that as well. Which brings maybe AJ Puck would be a nice addition. Which brings us to our next storyline. Tyler Soderstrom will be going to the Future Stars. How do they pronounce that? Future Stars. Like
Future Stars game.
Yeah. Future Stars game. Which is a fun little game that they have the day before the All-Star game. It's kind of mixed in with the home run derby and all those festivities. Sometimes they play it on ESPN, sometimes they don't, but I've watched it a couple times. It's fun. They get a bunch of Future Stars, guys who've been playing really well this year, and they do an All-Star game for them in the minors, and that's all levels of the minors, not just AAA. Yeah, Julio.
Yeah, honestly,
he's been killing it.
You're going to get a little bit more into the negatives of just
I've been following.
The draft.
If you don't follow Melissa Lockhart, you should on Twitter. She writes for. Sorry to interrupt you. Writes for The Athletic. She covers minor league baseball, and she's an A's fan. She runs the Seamhead podcast for The Athletic. She's been tweeting about him a lot because he's just been fucking crushing it.
And rightfully so. Just going to give a quick rundown of his numbers. He's had 181 at bats. He's got 31 runs scored, 57 hits, 9 home runs, 40 RBIs, 2 steals, 315 average, 399 OBP, and a 974 OPS. And by the way, he's only 19. He was the first round pick last season for the Athletics. And he is absolutely living up to the hype of it. And he looks like probably the most promising prospect that the A's have kind of taken from the get-go and brought up. And God, couldn't even tell you, man. And there's a reason why, Chris.
I have it listed right here on our rundown. How long
let's go to rundown.
So okay. The reason why I want to bring this up. Jessica Kleinschmidt came on this podcast in the offseason and said, because we were talking about potential guys we could trade for like a pitcher, a dog pitcher. And she said the farm system is kind of depleted. And I mean, we've known that, obviously. We've been talking about that all offseason. But that when you really look at it on paper, when you pull it up and you see it, like it's even worse in terms of judging our scouting department. It's like almost pathetically worse than we've even given it credit to. So I want to take this time to just shit on our scouting department. I don't know what Eric Kubota is doing over there, but he's not doing the right thing. Julio knows. Listeners, let me tell you who the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 draft picks, first round draft picks that the A's have picked. The 7's a good one, so that's why I didn't have the 7th on there. But 6 is too long anyway. So last year was Tyler Soderstrom. Great pick so far. Fresh out of high school, doing his thing. 2019, Logan Davidson, shortstop prospect out of college. Year before that, 2018, we all know who that is. Kyler Murray decided to play baseball.
He's pretty good.
decided to play football instead of baseball. I don't know what Logan Davidson's like prospect ranking was or what his draft ranking was. But because I forgot to say that. Kyler Murray, from all the experts, was picked about 20 picks higher than he should have been. A lot of people predicted him to be a late first round pick, and he was picked 10th overall. So I think that's one issue right there on top of him going to play baseball. 2017, Austin Beck, outfielder, still kicking it in our minor league system. Haven't really seen him. 2016, AJ Puck, great pick, right? Well, nothing but injury prone. 2015,
it's been 5 years.
Yeah. 2015, Richie Martin. And you know what? AJ Puck was out of college too, so he should have been like a 1 year in the minors and bring up. Richie Martin, we traded him. Second baseman, we traded him. 2014 is not on here, but that was Matt Chapman, so obviously that's a good pick. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the scouting department's doing, but they've missed 6 I mean 5 of the last 6 picks, and we don't even know about Soderstrom yet, and we don't know about AJ Puck, so maybe that could work out. But it's just frustrating, man, because like this is why our farm system's depleted. It's not because we've been going for it for the past 3 years and we're trading away assets to get, proven assets. Like that's not what it is. Like, because you think about it, we really have only been a part of like a few decent trades, but we didn't really give up any major prospects in those trades. I'm thinking like maybe like Tanner Roark and like, I don't know. Did we get a reliever last year or something?
Honestly, I think, they're Tommy La Stella, but then we gave it Franklin Barreto.
Franklin Barreto, another one too. Franklin Barreto was 2013.
But we didn't draft him. But still, I was going to say all of our best prospects are guys we're getting from other teams that they're able to groom in the higher. It seems like they have a problem developing guys in the lower levels.
Yeah,
and that in the higher levels they can kind of work things out a little bit more. But also drafting's fucking hard.
So,
but
this is why our farm system is depleted. Like you look over, I know it's like a bad example. You look over at Tampa Bay, and they're good for the next 5 years because they draft well. Like we would be in an okay spot if we drafted just somewhat decently. Let me just ask you this, Julio. Do you think that there's a tide turning because of Bobby Crosby in those lower sections of the minor leagues? Because
ooh, I like that.
He took over this year, and look at what Tyler Soderstrom's doing. Like he's really developing him.
So there was actually a pretty interesting piece. I think it was Melissa Lockhart wrote it, and it was talking about just like how big of an impact Bobby Crosby's actually had with the infielders. That like he like with Logan Davidson and I forget who the other guys they were talking about, but like you can tell like it's kind of making a difference. So shit, maybe having somebody like him, this is his first year as their manager. We're obviously, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but like maybe having him as that guy and that low of a level is kind of the way to go. And like the Bobby Crosby, like those few years that he was really shining was like a really awesome, like it was hard. Like nobody was able to fill Miguel Tejada's shoes when he left to Baltimore.
But they
And hell,
legitimately thought
Bobby
that
Crosby was awesome.
They legitimately thought
those
that
few
he
years.
was gonna be a Miguel Tejada level guy, though. They thought he was gonna be that good in the first 2 seasons. It really looked like he was, and then he had his injury issues. That's kind of what kept him back. So maybe you're right. Maybe there's something to do with like he was a highly touted prospect. Maybe there's something to do with he knows what it's like to be at those lower levels and develop and have successful developing. So maybe he's using that experience on these younger guys to help him out.
So you're developing the plot of Moneyball, the movie.
Am I?
Okay. You think you know what it's like in those rooms? You know what? You don't. You don't.
So he's the next.
Hey, I just want to throw this out there too. Here's some of the players that the A's passed on in 2018 when they drafted Kyler Murray. Logan Davidson, he's already up in the majors with Seattle. Matthew Liberatore.
Logan Davidson is on our team.
I'm sorry. Logan Gilbert. Sorry,
okay.
too many guys named Logan. Logan Gilbert. He's already in the majors with Seattle. He looks pretty solid so far. Matthew Liberatore. He's in the card system. He's pretty much going to be like the next guy, barring injuries. Brady Singer. He's already in the Royals rotation. Nolan Gorman just got called up by the Cardinals. Nico Horner. He's been pretty good this season as a rookie. And you know what? He would have been really good if they had him. And then last but not least, Shane McClanahan, who has been pretty impressive so far as like he's pretty much the Rays ace right now that Tyler Glasnow is out. Yep. Should could have won it, right, Chris?
Those are some interesting names on that list. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And they think
for people who aren't
as those guys are already up.
For people who aren't as informed in the minor league system, there's actually a lot more than that, to be completely honest with you. Brady Singer is the one that really hits me right there because he's fucking good right now.
Yeah, it's his rookie year, and you can tell that he's pretty raw still, but from what we've seen.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to move on?
Looking at did you look at was that just the first round, or are you looking at the later rounds too?
Oh, I just looked at the first round.
Yeah. I don't recognize anybody at later rounds still. All right, anyway.
I feel like I play enough of the show where I've recognized names, but I don't really want to go at that. Last but not least, I don't think we really need to get deep into it. Coliseum back at full capacity. Only had 4,700 people there on Tuesday night. You know what? It's a Tuesday night. It's before a holiday. We know how dead the Coliseum is. But if we don't see that thing full for this weekend against Boston, we're going to be into big trouble.
I saw Simone McCarthy was very critical about this on Twitter. I think it goes beyond this. I think that the fan base is offended and frustrated with the team with all of this stadium situation and the rumors going to Las Vegas. So I legitimately think that this is like a sign that it's like, we're not going to take your bullshit. So I think that it's just like, I think that they're just offended and they don't want to come to games because they don't want to spend the money.
It could be a part of that. I would also think that like the Bay Area, I think as a whole is still pretty cautious about doing stuff in big audiences.
Maybe.
Even like the call, but even if
San Francisco has herd immunity, dude.
I know, but like even if like watching like the Giants series, it wasn't that packed. Like it was at full capacity and it wasn't sold out. Whereas like Dodger games are like yep, that's sold out. But like in Giant, I think people are still just a little more cautious about things up there, which is like that's totally cool. Like you live your life, but yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. We're going to take a break and we'll come back answer your questions. Some of you can fuck off. Some of your questions are rude, including mine was one of them. So I'm really talking shit to myself. Stick around. We'll be right back.